Okay, welcome to another edition of the Above the Bridge podcast. I'm your host, Thaddeus Park. Just wanted to take a short moment to thank everybody for tuning in. If this is your first time, please hit that subscribe button. Also, if you're on YouTube, leave a comment. It matters, but appreciate you guys for checking out the podcast. Aloha. Okay, this week, my guest, I've been super excited to bring this person on. I met him I think it was last week, and it was a blessing from the things that he was trying to talk to me about. And I've listened to his music since I was little. He sings he's the group Imua, which
Yeah,
sings Menehune Beach Bum Boogie, right?
yeah. That's our first thing
Okay.
here.
Yeah, okay. So this is Uncle Dave. How do you say your last name again?
Run away, like run away with a D.
Dunaway.
Yeah.
That's the one. I just met you, and then you touched me in such a special, like a blessing to explain to me what you were doing, and it was a chance meeting, and I'm super honored to have you on my show.
Oh,
And
thank you, my brother. Thank you, Tad.
yeah, I've been excited all week to talk story with you. Can you
Cool.
just give the people a little bit of background of you before we get
Okay,
into
shoot.
this?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Born and raised in Hawaii. Went to Kamehameha School from kindergarten all the way through. Thus the name Imua because that's the only word we ever seen on the football. You know
Yeah.
the scoreboard. We only saw Cam School and we've seen Imua at every game. So when me and my friend, he's another 13-year senior, um, we started playing music together. Um, right out of high school. Actually, a little bit more out of high school, maybe like about like 5, 6 years. We started playing music, but went to high school. Then I went to the University of Hawaii, graduated in political science, and then got another bachelor's in speech communication. Thought I was going to go to law school. Ended up that's not where the Lord had me going. He threw me into education instead. And then I just became a teacher. And then, but the Lord just had other ways to be able to add value in our community. He got us involved in music, and we started adding value there, and just in business in general. I started my first business when I was 19 years old.
Oh
um
wow.
and then but as I was a teacher, and then I did some stuff when I was working at Channel 5, did some stuff on the radio, but basically I ended up getting involved in music, and just having another business on the side. Um but through my education, I worked with at-risk students for 12 years out of my 34 years of being in a classroom. 12
Oh
years
wow.
was specifically designed for this thing called CSAP, which is Comprehensive Student Alienation Program. So
Oh wow.
basically, that's your at-risk kids. They one step away from jail. So they used to call them ALC. Okay, so it stands for Alternative Learning Curriculum or Alternative Learning Classroom. But everybody had one different acronym for it. They used to call it ALC, A-hole's last chance.
Makes
Because
sense.
bruh,
Makes sense.
they one step away from jail, bro.
Where was that at? Olomana.
No, bro. Was
Oh,
most public schools have this group. So even
oh,
like when where you went to school, Tad?
I went Damien.
Okay, but when did you go to Damien?
I grad 92.
No. But where did you go before you went to Damien?
Oh, I went St. Anne's.
Okay, so always private school, but
Yeah,
in the
yeah.
public school system, there's always this percentage of students that just have a very difficult time operating in a traditional classroom setting. So what
Okay.
they do is they have this thing called in the elementary, it's called PSAP, and then by the time they hit um, middle school, it's called CSAP, and middle school goes from middle school, and then even to high school, it's a CSAP program. And then what they do is they just have this alternative classroom for you to be able to learn in because it's not like more traditional. So I did
Oh,
that 12 years. But in doing that, it stretched my character, it stretched my understanding, and it stretched actually, if anything, it stretched my compassion for
ooh,
for students, where before I had like zero tolerance for excuses. A student doesn't do their homework or a student
yeah.
makes bad choices. I had zero tolerance for that. But as I started working with these at-risk kids and you see that, what they come from, and it's like, I can understand why you make the choices you make. But
Oh,
my thing is, you're not a product of your environment. You're still a product of your choices, because
yeah,
somebody is speaking life into you.
yeah,
And at some point, they go, oh, but they go home to that environment every day. I said, yeah, but for 6 hours out of the day, they're at a school environment, and they're getting fed different things, and people are speaking life into them.
yeah,
And that is and so in teaching, we really, well, being in this alternative learning curriculum classroom, the CSAP classroom, I got to know other CSAP teachers, and I was introduced to this Aloha program from this guy named, what do you call, Alan Silva. And when he introduced me to it, because he was working at Farrington, so he
okay,
was working with some pretty at-risk high school kids.
yeah, yeah,
But some of the things he were doing with them was amazing. He was doing some crazy things with them, and how they adding value to their community in Kalihi through Aloha. And I said, I want that for Pololo. So
oh,
just started being able to really understand, and I became more of a student of Aloha versus trying to just run the program. Was more of a student of Aloha and learning. I really learned a lot from Pono Shim, under his tutelage, and some of the things that he was sharing. And since then, I was just going out and talking to a lot of other people about how they do it, research. Where I just try read as much as I can about it, and we designed our own way of designing our own program behind it, that was hopefully rudimentarily engaging, but then understandable by, in a very simple way, where I'm
yeah.
like, from.
So that way anybody can relate to it how you break it
Yes.
down. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, so you was teaching in Pololo.
Yeah, Pololo all my years, bro. Born and raised.
Oh,
I'm born and raised in Pololo Valley.
my
So
wife is teaching there right now.
really,
Yeah,
at
she's
where?
teaching the preschool at Pololo
At Pololo
Elementary.
Elementary. No
Yeah.
way.
Yeah, she
Wow.
just started there she was in Waianae and now she's
Okay.
in Pololo and
Yeah.
she does the
The Head Start.
publicly funded
The
preschool,
Head
yeah.
Start program, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, cool, bro.
Oh, that's
She should
super cool.
ask any of the other teachers, hey, do you guys know who Mr. Dunaway is at Jarrett Middle School? All the teachers gonna say, yeah, we all know
Oh,
him.
okay.
Ah, yeah.
So they would go to you then after her, after elementary
Yeah,
then.
all the kids from Pololo Elementary come to Jarrett Middle School. Yeah.
All right. Before we get into the
Of
Aloha
course.
parts, I wanted to know a little bit about your music career and everybody like know about Menehune
Oh,
because that was such a popular song at the time and I feel like I would be doing a disservice if I didn't ask you about it.
okay, bro.
Plus, I like
I'm
no.
gonna share with you guys the full-on story of
All
how
right.
that song came about. That was the first song I ever wrote in my life. Yeah,
Oh,
so me and my wife now, she was just my girlfriend, was driving on the road and had a song come up on the radio. I forget what song it was, but she said, I told her, oh, that song is junk. And she goes, nah, it cannot be junk. It's on the radio. I said, just because it's on the radio don't make it good. And she goes, oh, well, and this typical like girlfriend, like, oh, shit, if you think that's junk, you're like, I like see you write one song. You never do write one song, right? Typical girl, like, I never see you do this like that. So I'm
yep.
like, yeah, I bet you I can write a song better than that. And she goes, I bet you cannot. So we literally go home, and what do you call? She like, go into the living room area. I went into the bedroom, and what do you call? I started writing. 15 minutes, bro. 1 5. 15 minutes. I said, hey, come in the room. I get something. I like show you. And she goes, what? And I said, come. And I said, remember you just told me I couldn't write one song better than a song on the radio. She goes, wait, what? You took that me seriously? And I said, yeah. And I said, I wrote one song I think is better than what was on the radio. And I played her Menehune Beach Bum Boogie. Pretty much 95% exactly how you hear it on the recording.
Oh.
And she was like, oh, man, that song is pretty good. So I never wrote one song before, ever in my life.
Oh,
And here I am, a teacher, right?
yeah.
Crazy, because that year, the principal said, hey, we're having one fundraiser and we need entertainment. And I said, hey, I wrote one song. And so I got together with the guy Baba, who I play with. I got together with him and I said, "Hey, we're gonna play at my school, and they gonna fundraiser. They're gonna feed us if we go there and play music." He goes, "Bruh, we don't play music." I said, "I know, but we can practice this one song, and then we're gonna play one more song." So he goes, "Okay." So we in practice. We play those two songs. Okay. At this fundraiser, Ernie Cruz Jr. from Ka'au Cradle Boys was what do you call? He was sitting on our table. So he played earlier, then we went up and played. And one of the songs I played was Menehune. As soon as I came off the table, I sat down. Ernie Cruz Jr. goes. And the thing is, I grew up with his younger brother Guy. So I knew the whole Cruz family.
Oh,
So
okay.
me and the younger brother Guy was good friends actually growing up. And I never knew Guy played music either. And so Ernie goes, "Bruh, Dave, you wrote that song?" And I said, "Yeah." He goes, "That Menehune song." He goes, "Bro, that's a cool song." I say, "Oh, thanks." And then after that, I look at my friend Baba. Bro, that's Ernie Cruz Jr. said that song was good, bro. And he goes, "See, I told you." And enough, bro. He goes, "Hey, if you like, bro, I can shop it around." But we ended up going and playing for my friend Baba's fundraiser for his workplace. So we got to eat for free over there too. So we went over there. And sure enough, bro, we played a different song I wrote because guys started writing. After I wrote Menehune, I started teaching a ukulele class at Jared.
Mm.
And during the class, I would, give assignments to the kids. But every time I got free time, I would sit and I start writing. And I started writing a lot of songs. So I just had all these songs I started writing. And it was crazy because when we went in, we did his fundraiser. The producer didn't hear Menehune. And all he heard this other song I wrote called Hanabara Days. And
Okay.
he loved that song. And he goes, "Bruh, you get any other songs?" And I said, "Oh, yeah." And I started playing Menehune. Then I played Red Light. And I started playing all these other songs that I wrote. And he goes, "Holy moly." And that was literally so we played for my fundraiser. We played for his fundraiser. In the audience was a producer. We was in the studio 2 weeks later cutting our
Oh,
first.
wow.
So we was like the most Cinderella story you ever gonna hear.
Oh, and all stem from your doubting girlfriend.
Exactly, bro. And then my girlfriend goes, and now she my wife, right? Well,
Yeah.
I bet you can write one song. Now I bet you can make $1 billion.
Oh, you gotta prove that one gonna take a little more effort.
Oh, that one is gonna take a little bit more time than 15 minutes.
Oh, that's a cool story. I always wanted to know. And bruh, that song transcends generations. My daughter knows it. Like,
Yeah, it's
it,
crazy because they all do it
yeah,
for Mayday. And they still do them. Think about it. You guys did them when you was a little kid.
guarantee. Mayday, that's right. Guarantee
Everybody
every Mayday, one class gonna do them. Guarantee.
guarantee one class going to do them. Yeah.
That's super cool. Hey,
Yeah.
that's some cool legacy.
Exactly. But we're just so blessed, bro.
Yeah.
We just so blessed.
Okay, I want to take this short moment to shout out my sponsor, Defend Hawaii. They've been my sponsor since day one. If you give them a look on their website, defendhawaii.com, they got some new drops. Give them a look. They have a store in Winter Mall called No One. I rock their stuff all the time. Defendhawaii.com. If you use promo code ATBPOD upon checkout, you'll get 15% off your entire purchase. Defendhawaii.com, Winter Mall, No One. Go give them a look. Check them out. Defendhawaii.com. Aloha.
And so we got 5 albums and we just, and then we started raising families. So we wasn't doing as much music. So that's why this music that we just released right at the beginning of January was the first song we released in 20 years. First
Oh,
original song
wow.
that we released in 20 years.
Oh, wow.
We were just gigging, gigging, but just not releasing new music because that takes a lot more effort and
Yeah.
time in the studio. And we was raising families, so we couldn't be away from our families as much
Yeah.
to, you produce an album, then you gotta go promote your album, and then your producer like you tour and all of that stuff.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's just harder. Like your kids are young. You understand how it
Yeah.
is, right? Yeah.
Yep, definitely. But you got to kind of live that lifestyle for a little bit, and
Yeah.
like that's cool because it kind of makes you diverse, and now you can kind of use your musical talents in
Yeah.
connecting with what you're doing now. And
You know what? Actually, thank you so much for bringing that up. That's
yeah,
exactly right. And what we're trying to do is like you were just talking about connecting kids, because the song is actually that we released is a tool for a curriculum we created so that it'll connect the kids to the lyrics of the song with the values of aloha.
okay, so let's break this down because this
Yeah.
is what pulled me in when you were talking to the girl from the news. I
Yeah.
overheard, and then I was sat down and I wanted to talk to you, and this blew me away, and
Uh,
it definitely changed my outlook huge enough to where I was thinking about it for the next couple days. And
oh.
um I'm so stoked that you're gonna speak about it right now, to be
Okay.
honest. So let's
Right
break it
on.
down.
Okay. Okay. Well, real simple. If you went into like say just you go into Kahala Mall, this
Yeah.
is kind of how I usually started off. You go into Kahala Mall, you go into Ala Moana, and you ask 100 random people, you know, describe aloha. You know, what do you think aloha is? And you're gonna get hello, goodbye, I love you,
Yeah.
almost 90% of the time.
Yeah.
Because why? Because that's all they know of what aloha is. And I think that's kind of sad because we supposed to be the aloha state, right?
Yeah.
Be the aloha state. So I would tend to think the people in that state would have a deeper understanding of what the word aloha means. So I always look at it like this. If you had and metaphorically, if you had a tree standing, in the forest, and that's your aloha tree, okay? And you got to look at this. If that tree only had surface roots, and
Okay.
the wind started blowing in the forest, what going to happen to that tree?
And blow over.
Gonna blow over, gonna fall down.
Yeah.
Why? Because only had surface roots. What would make that tree withstand all of the wind that was blowing
It
on?
needs the tap
A
root going
taproot.
down.
Oh, I
Yeah.
love what you just said. That
Yeah.
word, right, is super good.
Yeah.
Is the
Tap root.
taproot. That means it's got to go a lot deeper. The root got to go deeper.
Yeah.
And that's the thing. So if everybody's understanding of aloha is just hello, goodbye, I love you, doesn't that seem kind of surface, right?
Yes,
So
definitely.
what they need is a deeper understanding of what aloha is. So what we did was we started a nonprofit organization called Aloha Connects, because that's what aloha do is and does and is supposed to do: connect people, connect ideas, connect organizations, connect communities. That's what aloha is supposed to do. So how does it connect? What we did was we said, what our nonprofit is gonna be founded on is there is actually a law in the state of Hawaii, Hawaii Revised Statutes 5-7.5, that talks about the spirit of aloha, and it's called the
Really?
spirit of aloha. Well, you guys can chat GPT it, you can Google it, and you put HRS, which stands for Hawaii Revised Statutes 5-7.5. And it's boom, it's going to pop up Spirit of Aloha Law. Then what it's going to do is it's going to explain what aloha is. And how we got that explanation was from this older woman. She started coming out in the 60s and 70s explaining aloha. But her name was Aunty Pilahi Paki, and she made it very simple. So I can share the story that I heard, and you
Okay.
can go double check this story. You can go on the internet and double check this story. Actually, it was Mo Keale shared this
Oh,
story on one of his videos, and he talked about Aunty Pilahi Paki. She was invited to speak at the University of Hawaii back in if I'm not mistaken, I think it was like 1972 or 74, maybe 76, right around in the 70s, where they had this really strong um, Hawaiian renaissance, where everybody was moving towards Hawaiian language, Hawaiian culture, and really strong in Hawaii
hmm.
and Hawaiiana. And what she ended up doing was she was at this, there was at the, it was at the East West Center. And
Okay.
at the East West Center, It was actually the whole conference was what is the year 2000 going to look like? We're right now in 2026. We way beyond 2000.
Yeah, yeah.
In 1976, 75, they were looking at that's 25 years from now. What is the year 2000 going to look like? So they were just talking with all of these professors in linguistics, in psychology, sociology, all of these professors all talking at this conference. But one of the questions they had was, what is aloha? Now, I'm going to talk a little bit about what aloha is later
Okay.
and why I think that might not be the most appropriate question. But they were talking, what is aloha? What is aloha? What is aloha? And for 2 days, okay, this conference, everybody's saying aloha is this, aloha is that, aloha is this. But then on the second day, towards the ending of the conference, Aunty Pilahi Paki, she stands up and she goes, "Excuse me, I'd like to share what aloha is." And she said, "Aloha is a word, but it's made up of other words. So we have Aloha. And what those letters represent is other words that describe how you aloha." So
Like
she
one
said,
acronym.
"Hey," yes, like an acronym. Perfect. I
Okay,
don't think
okay.
she used that name, the word, but it is. I use the word acronym all the time. So I say
Yeah.
it's an acronym. So the first A stands for the word Akahai. Okay. So it's Aloha, Akahai. And the word Akahai means kindness to be expressed with tenderness. Okay. And then she said the L, Lokahi. Lokahi is unity to be expressed with harmony. Then she said Oluolu, Oluolu. So Oluolu is agreeable to be expressed with pleasantness. Then she
Okay.
went to H, Haahaa. Haahaa is humility to be expressed with modesty.
Hmm.
And then she goes, and then the last A, Ahonui. Ahonui is patience to be expressed with perseverance. Okay.
Oh, so
So to be applied with perseverance. But what she did was she gave actually two levels of understanding. So this is how I look at it. She never said it this way.
okay.
But how I looked at it when I started thinking, because I'm more a visual learner, right? So
Yeah.
I needed a metaphor in my head. So when I look at the tree and I look at the levels of roots, I look at, like you said, you have that surface roots, but we didn't get into the taproot yet, but we got the surface roots. When you look at the surface roots, and she said, Akahai, kindness. I said, oh, that's a simple definition. Really,
Yeah.
that's really simple. But now with tenderness. Then she went to Lokahi, unity, and then she went to harmony. So the surface understanding is what is called the ho'opukaku. Okay, ho'opukaku is like the simple understanding, simple meaning of a word. Okay.
Okay.
Then you get to this other level of understanding called the kauna. The kauna is the symbolic. Okay. Little bit more, it's more in depth, but it's more symbolism. So you guys get there's more visualization of it. So when you look at Akahai, Akahai kindness, okay? Kindness, let me give you an example. A little like a child opens up the door for his grandma because the grandma is coming in. So he
Yeah.
runs it. Let me go, grandma. Let me go. And he runs ahead. He opens up the door. Come, grandma. Now I open the door so you can come in. That's kindness, right?
Yeah.
And then the grandma walks through the door. And then what happens is the boy runs next to his grandma, and then the grandma starts stroking his head. Says, "Thank you so much," right?
Yeah.
And that's tenderness. But they both mean Akahai.
Okay. That
So
makes
what happens
sense.
is so you got kindness and tenderness. Then you got Lokahi, unity, harmony. So unity is just together, things that are
Yeah.
together. That's
Yeah.
unity. Okay. But harmony is things together that bring about peace. That's
Oh,
harmony. So now you got one little deeper understanding, right?
yeah. Yeah.
So all the words do that. Oluolu, agreeable. That means we can come together and agree that we're gonna try and work things out, right? We can to work together. Okay, say like with the Lokahi, but now we gotta agree to work together because then maybe there's different groups, so we
Yeah.
gotta agree that. But then it's like pleasantness. how do you agree? Can we agree in a way that is pleasant to others? Okay, that's the Oluolu. Because we can agree, but we can be nuha about it, right?
Yeah, yeah,
We can
yeah,
be
yeah.
habut, right? Can't fall. Everybody go habut, whatever,
Yeah,
whatever. You still agree, but then you habut.
yeah.
But then agree with pleasantness. It's like, hey,
Okay.
we might not necessarily, we might not necessarily
See eye to
totally
eye kind.
or to yeah, see eye to eye, but yet we can live with it, but we can live with it, you know, in peace, but pleasantly, right?
Yeah,
But you can see that. Then you got ha ha. Ha ha is humility. Okay. Humility is, again, it's not about yourself, being unselfish, looking at the other person. Humility, modesty now. So now you think about somebody that's modest. What do you think of? Somebody that doesn't necessarily isn't really flamboyant, really
yeah.
out there, right?
Humble.
So then, yes, it's humble. So you say the word humble, but now when you look at the modesties, how do they show their humility on the outside,
Oh,
right?
I see.
So
I think that's the
humility is what's
hardest
on the
one. That
inside.
one. Yeah.
Yeah, so humility is on the inside. Modesty is what they show on the outside,
Oh,
right?
okay. So
How
that's
they
what you
how they
project.
dress.
That's what you're
Yes,
projecting.
what they
Okay.
project, how they dress. That's your modesty. Okay, so that's all what people receive. Humility, because you can be humble without anybody receiving anything of your humility.
Yeah,
But yet,
yeah.
as soon as they start receiving your humility, now that's modesty.
Oh, okay. That's a
And
good way to break down both of those words.
yes,
I
and then you
feel
got
like
the
that would be the hardest one to in this day and
yeah,
age.
you
That's
still
probably
call it
the hard.
humble. Like
Yeah.
you called it humble. Yeah, that's the same thing. But you can use modesty. And then when you go to the last one, which is Ahonui, it's patience to be expressed with perseverance. Now, when people think perseverance, it's like, oh, but we keep on working, we keep on working. But
Yeah.
when you're looking at patience, it's not patience where you sit and you wait and do nothing. A lot of
Okay.
times people tend to think that that's patient. Oh, the little kid that can be patient is just sitting there doing nothing.
That's lazy.
That's not Ahonui.
Yeah.
Ahonui is, and it's going to come, we're going to give that later, but it's active waiting
I
where
see.
you can wait, but you actually preparing. You're preparing because there's going to be an opportunity for you
Yeah.
to respond. So mentally, physically, you're preparing. So you're not doing nothing. You're waiting, but you're waiting in preparation for an action
And
and
that would be
at an
timely.
appropriate time. So
I
that
see.
is patient. Yeah. See you later,
I
bye.
de- I definitely can relate to that. It's kind of what I'm teaching my daughter. She's a
Yeah.
volleyball player and she'll train and work and it's like, hey, you may not get the results tomorrow, but if you keep
Yeah.
working at it and being patient, one day it's gonna happen.
Yeah.
Kind of like
Yeah.
that.
And that's the thing, right? But see, but like when we talk about Ahonui, a lot of it is active waiting where you patient, but and you patient in, but there's a and that's why it's hard to do it without the lowest level, but there's a sense of stillness. There's a sense
Okay.
of stillness where you're not actively moving, but you're preparing mentally, you're preparing physically inside because you know what's about to happen, and there's going to be an appropriate time to respond. You're not reacting, you're responding. So, but you're sitting there and you just maybe nodding and like yeah, they're like, oh, you're so patient, but yet in your brain you're moving already. You
Yeah.
already doing, you pursuing, yeah.
That's
So yeah,
super
it's
cool. So
long endurance. Basically, that's what it is. It's endurance and enduring patience.
okay, I want to take this break to shout out our sponsor, iRip Detail Supply. They're your one stop shop superstore for everything you need to detail whatever vehicle you have. They have a store in Temple Valley Shopping Center. They also have one in Las Vegas. Their staff is very knowledgeable of everything you need to know to detail whatever vehicle you have. Check them out at their store or go to irepdetailsupply.com. And if you use promo code ATBPOD upon checkout, you'll get 15% off your entire purchase order. IREP Detail Supply. Aloha. So breaking it
So
down to that just widens the whole scope of what aloha means. It's not
yes.
that's
So
taking
what's
the
crazy?
surface out of there.
Yeah. So what's crazy is that's only two levels. Okay. So that's the ho'opukaku, the ho'opukaku, and then the kauna is what I just gave.
Okay.
Now, so Aunty Pilahi Paki only gave those two levels, but she had a nephew, a grandnephew, Pono Shim, and she told him she was gonna teach him. So when he told you can go on a lot of different YouTube videos and they'll share about his story with his Auntie Pilahi Paki, and she ended up teaching him another level of aloha that wasn't said earlier at the UH convention. So what she did was she gave him that. I think this is how I look at it. She gave him the noa puna. She gave him the deepest spiritual understanding. So again, you get ho'opukaku, surface level, simple understanding. The kauna, that's the symbolic. And then you got the deepest level, which is the noa puna, which is very, very spiritual and
Oh,
esoteric. So esoteric is what you know exists, but you don't necessarily see it, right?
okay.
That's the one you take on faith. You know it's
Faith.
there
Yep.
because it's by faith I know it exists.
Yeah.
So what he did was he gave Akahai. So again, we had kindness, tenderness, and then the deepest level was grace and mercy.
Oh,
Okay. So let's go back to the example of the grandma. So the
okay.
grandma, the little boy, grandchild opens up the door, kindness. The grandmother starts noticing that and says, "Thank you so much," starts stroking his head. He goes, "Wow, that's tenderness. That's still akahai." Then now the boy goes and he plays with grandma's slipper, right? And he starts, he playing, like when he was a little kid, it's like now you're playing, everybody like, oh yeah, well, let's go play pickleball. He's like, man, I'm a
Yeah.
pickleball paddle. It's like, use my grandma's slipper. And they all
Yeah.
playing pickleball with grandma's slipper, right? And then he broke the slipper, right? So he come to grandma, he goes, "Grandma, I broke your slipper. I was playing pickleball. I sorry." When grandma can give him grace and mercy
Hmm.
because out of aloha, that's where Akahai is. Akahai at the deepest level is grace and mercy.
And in your opinion, is that the hardest thing to do?
Well, yeah, because then now you're getting super deep, right? When you
Yeah,
get
yeah,
to the
yeah.
deepest level, then it
Yeah.
becomes a lot more difficult. So when you look at
Yeah.
Lokahi, you look at unity to be expressed with harmony. But what the deepest level is called, she called it unbroken. So he used the word unbroken, Pono. I tend to use the word what is unbroken because I was like, what does that mean? That means together. That means that's Lokahi, that's the beginning one, right? That
Yeah.
means just the first part, which is just unity. That's unbroken. And later on, again, I forgot to mention that I'm a pastor.
Yeah.
So one of the words that actually God gave me to really explain the word unbroken was used this word covenantal for me.
Oh,
I was like,
okay.
"Oh wow, God, what is? Why would you want me to use that word?" He goes, "Like, let's look at it, Dave. You and your wife got married,
Yeah.
okay? If I wasn't there, now it's a contract between you two, and that's why when you look at divorces, a lot of time people get divorced. They get divorced mainly because one person might not necessarily be happy, and then what happened is, so in a contract where one party isn't happy, what happens? You break the contract.
Yeah.
But and then they look at that as divorce. So that's a broken contract. But when it's covenantal, remember, I got married in a church and everything.
Yeah.
It's covenantal, was me, my wife, and the Lord. There's three parties in a marriage: me, my wife, and God. So
Oh.
that became like if you look at a piece of string, then you get a second piece of string and you twine it. You go like that. It's strong, but every once in a while you put enough. Oh, that thing can break, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
But add one third string and weave them in. You're not gonna break them. Why? Because that's covenantal, unbreakable. That's
Covenantals
what Lokahi is
unbreakable. That's what
at
God
the
did with
deepest level.
Moses, right? The Ten
Yes,
Commandments, a covenant. Yeah.
yes, it was
Yeah, I
a
went
covenant.
Catholic school.
Yeah, yeah, that's right. You're in Catholic school. But that's why when God, because it was between him because God was a part of it. Was God, the people, and again you had Moses, right? So
Yeah.
now they okay, now we got this covenantal relationship because Moses was bringing the law to the people. So here you got Moses with the law, you got the people. But now when God comes in, that's the third party. Now it's covenantal. Now the law is unbreakable.
And it's
But
solid.
people still choose to break it, but the actual covenant of that is unbreakable.
Yeah.
That's the that's the
It doesn't sway. It doesn't
yes,
waver. It's solid.
yes. It's very solid. So, I mean,
Huh.
and again, this program, I know this program not about, just promoting, you know, Christianity or religion, but this is a easier way for us to understand it when you're
Yes.
bringing another party. So like I was sharing with a friend the other day and he goes, "Oh, well, Dave, what about if people don't believe in Jesus or they don't believe in God?" And I said, "Well, let me ask you something. What do you think your third party would be to make it unbreakable?" And he said, "Oh, what about the Aina?" And I said,
Ooh.
"Okay, if the Aina is your third party to make it unbreakable, that's why we have Aloha Aina, right?
Yeah.
If the Aina is the third party for you, then that's good. See, and that's good for you. Me, I'm a Christian, so my
Yeah.
third party is God all the time.
Well, God is the Aina too, right? He's part
Yes,
of the land. Yeah.
exactly. That's
So
how I
it
look
makes
at it.
sense.
But I never like offend him, right?
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
want to make
Yeah.
sure that I connect with him, and that
Yep.
was the thing. Yeah.
Yep.
So that's Lokahi. Now, when you look at Oluolu, so you have agreeable, pleasantness, and then at the deepest level, it's gentleness. Now, what is gentleness? Gentleness isn't meekness. I mean, weakness. Sorry. Everybody
Yeah.
tends to think, oh, when you gentle, you weak. I said, no, gentle is meek. And they're like, oh, what is meekness? I said, meekness is you have the strength, but you have the self control to not
Oh.
on that strength. So,
Okay.
perfect example is like, for example, one stallion, okay, one super strong horse, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So, what you do is they have the strength, okay, to be able to just terrorize the what do you call it? The herd of horses, right? Because
Yeah.
they're a wild stallion, right? They have that strength. But when you put a bridle in its mouth and a bit in its mouth, and you can control that horse, then they still have the same strength, but now it's controlled. And you can do stuff powerfully with that strong horse now. Now
Yeah.
they can add value to the field, to the
Hmm.
farmer, to the farm, to the community, because you took that strength that they had, but you put it under control. So when people have strength under control, that's the deepest level of aloha when it comes to olu olu.
You have a good way to kind of link it to like someone like me who you can make it relatable
Well,
just
I
by your
hope
horse
so. I hope
analogy.
so.
That's super
Again,
cool.
I taught middle school all my life, right?
Yeah.
34 years. And I figure, hey, if I can understand it, then hopefully my sixth graders and seventh graders and eighth graders can understand it.
I don't
So
know,
I
bro. Some of
always try
these
to put it,
adults need that level too, kind of
bro,
eighth
I
grade.
100% agree with that because
Yep.
most adults are visual learners. They need
Yeah.
a visualization of that, and it helps them understand. But when they get that understanding, now they can practice it a little bit more. Now they can actually apply it in their life a little bit
Yeah.
more, right? Because it's not about education, it's about application of information. That's what it
Yes.
is. See, at school, it's always about the information, information, information. And I'm like, if you got all the information, but you don't apply any of information, you're not adding
It's
value.
useless. Yep.
It's useless. You just
Yeah.
got information. It has to be applied
Yep.
information.
It's like when tape
Applicable.
recorder can do that.
Usable.
Yeah.
Then you adding value. That's what I keep on saying. So then that is we stop at Oluolu. Oh, we got this one is to me my favorite. Haahaa. You got
Okay.
the humility again inside. You got the modesty, which is outside.
Yeah.
At its deepest level is Aunty Pilahi used this thing called empty. And I was like, oh, why empty? And she goes, if you have a cup and it's full of you, yourself, and your pride, nobody
Mm.
can speak into you.
Yeah.
You got to empty your cup so you can be of service to others. See, what happens is a prideful person won't be in service of others, be in
Yeah.
service of themselves. So what happens, because that's what they do, right? They want to serve themselves. That's the full cup. When you can empty your cup of you, now you can serve others.
That
So
makes
that's why,
sense.
and that's super huge because then now other people can pour into you because now you
Yeah.
open to listen to others. You open to listen to something that maybe comes in contradiction to you, what you believe. You don't have to keep it, but at least you're open to it. You know what I mean? So
That's
that's the
hard in this society though, right? In
oh,
this day and age.
because we're groomed to believe you can do it. You
Yeah.
can do anything you want to do. See,
Yep.
what it does is it builds up our pride in ourself versus it takes a family, it takes a group, it takes a
Yeah.
team to move everything, the community forward. Because remember, we're a member of the community. We're not the community. We're not the unit. We
Yeah.
come unity, right? So that's
Yep.
it. Community. See,
That
like
makes
one
sense.
is called unit. Community is a bunch of units working in harmony together.
Yeah.
Then you community. Yeah.
Oh, that makes sense. And I think with like you explained when you said like, oh, I'm we're taught to be like, oh, okay, like I gotta be prideful because I can do it and all this.
Yeah.
You can feel that way, but know when to be also receptive and
Yes.
understands like, oh, like I could learn something from this or I can help somebody with that.
Yes.
And when you
Yeah.
break down that wall, and like you said, when you empty your cup, that's when
Yeah.
the magic happens. Cause then
Yes.
you
That's
that's
when
when you're
more.
really connecting. Yo.
Yeah. And then when you can get poured into, when you overflow your cup, you overflow onto others, right? That's what
Yeah,
you want
yeah.
more than anything. And then the last one is Ahonui. The deepest level, again, we had patience, perseverance, but the deepest level we talk about is active waiting and stillness. And that's the thing, being ready to respond. And that's the deepest level of understanding in the fact that I I'm not lazy, I'm not doing nothing. I'm mentally, I physically preparing for a time to respond versus react. Because when we react on our emotions.
Yes.
When you respond, there's reflection of what can happen if I do this or I do this.
Yeah.
If I do this, I make a decision here, I make a decision here. But now you want to make sure that's the kind of smart decisions you're making.
Yeah.
So, in a very huge nut on this nutshell, that's kind of what how we at Aloha Connects, how we like to communicate what Aloha is.
Okay, I want to take this moment to let you know about my sponsor, Medicinal Mushrooms Hawaii. They're a locally based medicinal mushroom company. They're in Hawaii. They have 5 different mushrooms right now. It's extracted mushrooms. We have lion's mane, chaga, red reishi, turkey tail, and the last one they just came out with is the cordyceps. And if you don't know the medicinal properties of these mushrooms, go to their website, medmushroomhigh.com, and it'll explain to you all the medicinal properties of each and every one of these mushrooms. I take all 5 religiously. I'll take the lion's mane, chaga, turkey tail in the morning with my coffee. I'll take the cordyceps for pre-workout, and the red reishi I'll take at night to help me sleep. But go give them a look, medmushroomhigh.com. And if you use promo code ATBpod upon checkout, all capital letters, you'll get 45% off your first tincture of extracted mushrooms. Med Mushroom High. Aloha. That's super awesome. It's very relatable. And I feel like for me, it helped me a lot. And of course, I'm human and
Yeah.
I kind of explained this to you the other day where I feel like aloha cannot be um like on the whim, like it when it's
Yeah.
convenient or when
Yeah.
it's easy. When everything's
Yeah.
easy, of course you can be, hey, aloha and all that. But
Yeah.
when
Yeah.
it's
Yeah. Yeah.
rough, when you gotta dig deep, and when it's not as convenient, then it becomes more of a stronger force, because like just like somebody cutting in front of you,
Yeah.
if you screw you or whatever, but if he can
Yeah.
give you the shaka, then it's all good. But it
Yeah.
should be it should be all good either way, because
Yes.
you wave
I
that
love
person
that.
in, you shouldn't expect that shaka, because
Yeah.
I'm letting
Yes.
that person in with aloha. Come inside my lane,
Yes.
bruh. Drive good. And I shouldn't be expecting the shaka, but then
Yeah.
when I don't get it, I shouldn't be like, screw you there. I'm never gonna let you in.
Yes.
Remember your car. You know what I mean? It's like that's not aloha.
Yeah.
So it's not like I'm intending to do something nice, but then it's for the
Yeah.
gratification of the shaka or the thank you. But it should be unconditional, right? Aloha is
Yes.
unconditional.
You hit it right on a point, right on point, Tad. Because see, the thing is when you let the person in
Yeah,
with an expectation of gratitude, that's actually not aloha.
exactly. Yep.
That's
Exactly.
actually not
Yeah.
aloha. What
Yeah.
that is because you feeding your pride. You are feeding your pride on, hey, come on in. Oh, look how good I am. I letting the
Yeah.
person in. And then they gotta say thank you because I was nice enough to let them in.
Yeah.
And so it was you feeding your own pride, you feeding your own ego. And then when they don't, then now what? You quick to anger, right? Now
Yeah.
you look at the fact that okay, if I'm quick to anger, it's like, oh, now that's total the antithesis of aloha. That's the total opposite of
Yeah.
aloha. Because you got angry because of an expectation. That's
Yes.
why true aloha is being able to do all of those things we talk, being kind, being patient, being unified, being humble, being all of those things. That when you really look at practicing all of those things without any expectation on anyone,
Gotta
you're
be
doing it
unconditional.
because that's what
Yeah.
you do.
Yep.
Yes, you're doing it because that's who you are and that's what you do. And then when you start noticing things are going to come back, but don't ever expect it.
Yeah.
Because as
Yeah.
soon as you get the expectation, you're going to sign yourself up for disappointment.
Yeah.
And then when you get disappointed and then you get angry, then now you total
Aloha's out the
working in the
window.
opposite.
Yeah.
Yeah, aloha went out the window. I mean, that's the thing, right? I mean, I love the example you brought up, because people cut off people in the freeway all the time, and I
Oh
see it,
yeah.
right? The one finger
Yeah.
shaka, and I look over there, I was like, wow, shaka is with two.
Yeah.
One. So I said, I can't be doing that. The one finger
Yeah.
shaka don't work. And that's not aloha. And then the other guy behind getting all mad because
Yeah.
the guy went stick finger. Then it's like, oh, heighten, right?
Yeah.
And that makes it even more difficult. So
Yeah.
yeah, so yeah.
What put you on this path? What sparked you to feel like, okay, I gotta start making a difference, and it has to stem from aloha. Let me try use this and start educating these people and kids. Like how did you figure out like this was your calling?
Oh, that's a really good question. Thank you so much for asking that. It was basically, I think, working with the kids I was working with,
Yeah.
I noticed a lot of times it was always about them. And I understand because the young, as you mature, see, maturity has nothing to do with growing older.
Yeah.
Maturity has everything to do with making good decisions. So if we could start teaching them to make decisions, like you just said, without any condition, unconditional, making decisions without any expectations in working with others, what that's going to do is going to allow them to add so much more value to their community. And what I always talk about that is when you add value to your community can be a family, your community can be a school, your community can be a grade level, community can be, your neighborhood, okay, the community can be your church, it can be the whole state of Hawaii can be a community. The whole world is a community. It's just what we need to do is how do you add value to that community? And when
Yeah.
you add value, are you adding value with aloha or are you adding value without aloha? And that's the thing. So when I started looking at a lot of my students that they had a very difficult time doing that. I said, why are they having a difficult time doing that? I said, they don't have enough examples. They don't have enough um, models of that. So I said,
Yeah.
why do they not have enough models? It's because people weren't taught that.
Yep.
So the thing is some like we were maybe taught, I was taught like how to behave a certain way from my parents, my grandparents, and stuff like that. But
Yeah.
because of living in Hawaii nowadays, and everybody says it, everybody get 3, 4, 5 jobs in order to make ends meet, and I get it. So what happens is the parents aren't there to be able to mold and create this ethical behavior and in their children. So where did now that doesn't mean, oh well, that's the excuse. Well, nobody's there to bring up the kids in with ethical behavior. So we just gotta what, throw ethics out the window or throw, you know, uh, morals out the window. I said, no, we have morals. So I said, well, where are they gonna learn it? I said, well, we gotta teach them in school then. And,
Yeah.
and if they already went and they already left school, I said, then we got to go out into the workplace. We got to go teach them there. But if we teach the kids and they go home and they help and work with their family, maybe when they work with their family, they can be able to learn that.
Oh, that's super cool. And I feel like you're a great spokesperson for it. And you,
Just what
you,
you got.
yeah, you linking it with music. So you guys wrote a song to help
Yeah.
kind of inspire or help remember it. You know what I mean? It helps you
Yes.
remember.
Yeah. So that's the whole thing with that song. The song was designed to work as a tool for the curriculum, so that way the kids could when they learn the music and they learn the lyrics, they actually learn the values of aloha.
Yep. And they probably not
That's what
even
the
knowing it at the moment.
yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, they don't. They just singing along with a song that
Yeah.
their teacher taught them in school. And
Yeah.
then later on, when they start talking about it, because then we also have it's a curriculum. So when the teachers, because we're going to be doing some professional development with teachers, and that's why our program is called Aloha Roots Program. Okay,
Okay.
so right now in schools they do this thing called SEL, which is social emotional learning, and it's really really good. But the thing is what schools want is they want this thing called outcomes. Okay. That's results. So they want results, they want outcomes. I always look at that. That's fruit and that's leaves on a tree. Okay.
Okay.
Then they have what do you call the systems to get the what. These are all the what out there. The what you want to have. Then you got systems and processes. Sorry about my dog, but we got
No worries.
systems and processes and branches that go to the what. That is the how. How you get to the what. But before you get the how and the what, you got to have the why.
Yeah.
And the why is the purpose. And the purpose is we feel at Aloha Connects, we feel our purpose is the why is aloha. Because if the purpose of of is aloha, then your system's gonna be all designed to how do you get to the aloha. I mean, from aloha, how do you get to the what? The what do you want?
Okay.
And the only reason is because I was just talking to someone about that. And we were talking about, like, oh well, we want the outcomes is to have good what do you call good test scores. And I said, oh, okay, like that's school, right? That's a good test scores. Okay, so that's your outcomes. That's
Yeah.
the apple you want at the top.
Okay.
Okay. Now, what are the systems? They're like, oh, well, the systems is, the curriculum, the instruction, the motivation, the engagement, all of these
Yeah.
things. It's called pedagogy. The pedagogical approaches to learning these things. So that is all the systems, right? And they
Yeah.
say, and in order for you to get to the system, you got to use this thing called social emotional learning. So we teach it socially, we teach it emotionally, in these systems, they're going to get this what, which is the test scores. But then
Yeah.
you ask the question, well, why? Why those test scores got to be so good,
Yeah.
right? And it's like when you look at Aloha, well, it's because you kind. You want to be kind to your community. And
That's
if
the
they
why.
kind, you're going to do this. And in being kind, you're going to do that. And in being kind, you're going to do this and that. And then you're going to get the what. And, or if you're patient, right? Ahonui, if you're patient and you keep on persevering, then the system's going to work. And then you're going to get your what. If you work together, Lokahi, that's the deep part, right? The Lokahi part. The system's going to work. You're going to get your what.
Yeah,
Right? And that's kind of what it is. When you're gentle with yourself, systems work, you get your what. When
that's
you're
super
humble,
cool.
it's not
Yeah,
about yourself. Yeah.
that's
And that's
super
how
cool.
that's what we do.
I think that's awesome. Really do feel like in this day and age, our society needs aloha, not just here in Hawaii, but worldwide. And I feel like Hawaii is the beacon of aloha, so it has to start here. And
Yes.
primarily, it has to start with our children and
Yep.
our teachers. And I feel like what you're doing is hitting the nail on the head. You're going
Oh,
to the
thank
source. And if kids can grow up with aloha, that's just gonna
yes.
transcend to their kids, and it's just gonna keep evolving.
Yeah.
I feel like we
And
kind of might have lost our way a little bit.
I love what you just said, because we're going to teach it to our kids are going to teach it to their kids.
Yeah,
Okay, so this is a perfect example that I have. And I use it as what do you call? In the classroom when you was a little kid, had one rubbish can, right? Tad, when
yeah,
I was
yeah,
when I was a little kid, only had one rubbish can in my classroom. That's where
yeah,
all the class went to.
yeah.
Right now in my classroom, get three rubbish cans. Why? Because you get one rubbish can for trash, one for paper for
Oh,
recycling,
yeah,
and one for plastic and cans for
yeah.
recycling. Now, when did that happen? Within the last two generations.
Guarantee.
Because we started talking about how important recycling was in the classroom and in the community.
Oh, that
And
makes
then
sense.
everybody went changed the way they thought. And now got three rubbish cans in every single classroom. Go to your daughter's classroom, go to your kid's classroom. You're gonna see three trash cans.
That's a
And
good
it's going to have
analogy.
usually one sign on top of it.
Yep.
Trash, paper,
Paper,
and
plastic. Yeah,
recyclables, which is the cans and the what do you call it?
yeah,
And that's what we do. So Aloha gotta be like that now. It's not the trash can, but we gotta teach it to change the way we think. And it's gotta come from the classroom and society. So that's all they know. And it's gonna change a whole generation of people.
yep. I
And it's
agree.
gonna transform our community.
I feel like we're kind of needing it more now than ever. And I feel like the community aspect has to kind of combine with the movement and kind of keep it moving forward. I feel like sometimes I get super discouraged, and it's like I'll see some of these like teenage kids, and it's like, "Bruh, what? How come your parents never teach you right?" Or and it, it's disappointing to me. And then I'm like,
Yes.
"Bruh, I try to promote aloha." After talking to you the other day, I realized I didn't even have a in-depth understanding of what it meant. So how can I promote something that I don't really understand? And I think
Well, that's
what you're doing
yeah.
is giving people more a deep embedded root to what aloha means, to where that when they share it, it'll stick, if that makes sense.
No, what I love what you just shared was the humility and the ha in that. Because you was willing to empty a cup.
Yeah.
See, that's the thing, is you was willing to empty a cup and listen to maybe a different perspective
Yeah.
of what aloha is. And in learning that little different perspective, now you can change the future of your daughter. And you
Guarantee.
get one
Yeah.
daughter and one son or two daughters.
I just get one daughter. Yeah.
Okay, one daughter. So you can change the future of your daughter because of the knowledge that. And look, see, we was only talking for like 1 hour. We
Yeah.
just talked for 1 hour, and that. All right. Imagine if you got this every single day from when you was kindergarten all the way to you graduated high school, or at least 2 to 3 times a week, or at least 2 times a week
Yeah.
from kindergarten all the way to 12th grade. Would you have a deeper understanding of aloha?
Definitely. Yeah.
Definitely. You already got a deeper understanding in 1 hour.
Yep.
Imagine if this was uh, twice a week, every week, for the entire life of going to school. You
Yeah.
would have came out with out of school. And I've been saying your tree never going to fall. And I can say
Yeah.
that. I can say we never going to trip up because we human by nature. Okay. And we're going to make up, we're going to screw up. We're going to screw up.
Yeah.
But because we belong to a community of people that value aloha,
Yeah.
they're going to have akahai. They're going to have a grace and mercy with us. And then we can akahai ourselves. We can have grace and mercy with ourselves. And
Yeah.
then we can grow stronger as a community.
I feel like the patient aspect comes into play a lot because for myself, a lot of things that I learned when I was young, I didn't know I needed it or used it until I was older and then the dots connected.
Yeah,
So that's where patience is, right? Like, oh, you
yeah,
teaching these kids this stuff. They might not get it and they might
yeah,
not understand, but they learning it. And all of a sudden going to click when they're
yeah,
older or sometime during their life and be like, oh, that's what it meant. That's what I need. That's how I gotta live. This is what I gotta do. And I think that's the taproot. They
yeah,
can pull into that taproot and it's gonna be there for them. And
yeah,
that's kind of cool. Because like for me, I learned a lot when I was younger, or things that my parents did for me. I never appreciate until I was
yeah,
older. I see them
yeah.
doing them for my daughter. I'm like, oh, that's why.
Now I get
That's
it. That's why
yep,
you did that for me.
exactly. And I think giving them strong tap roots like is gonna just keep that tree going. You know what I mean? And
Mm.
I think what you're doing is different and
Oh,
is strong. Like your vibe is strong.
oh, thanks.
It's infectious because you believe what you're teaching and you
Yes.
know how to relate it. And
Oh.
that's gonna be the key. How long have you guys been on this movement?
Well, we started the nonprofit about 4 years ago, but it was actually way back, maybe in the early 2000s when I was, or the mid 2000s when I was started working with Alan Silva because he was at Farrington, and I started seeing some of the things he was doing, and I was like, wow, I never saw Aloha that way. And then when I
Yeah,
started really thinking about it, working with it, I was like, bro, our kids need to know this, man, because I never really looked at Aloha that way either. And
yeah,
I was because I always saw Aloha as a brand,
yeah,
Aloha as, just a marketable market value of what Aloha was. And
yeah.
that was one of the things is we got to understand that Aloha is not transactional. Aloha is
Yes.
not contractual.
Yep.
Aloha is relational. We have to understand that.
Yep.
And that's like on our posters and everything like that. So yeah, so if anybody wants to get any more information about this, they can. They can tap us into HTTP. Okay, no more S. It's just HTTP and then www.allohaconnects.net. Because
Okay.
and this is why we did allohaconnects.net instead of .com and .org. It was because one net is how we supposed to be connected,
Oh,
right?
I see.
Be
Yep.
connected by one net. Yeah. So
Oh,
we
that
went to
makes
Aloha
sense.
Connect. Yeah, so we went to allohaconnects.net.
All right. I feel like that's the thing nowadays is information's out there. You gotta seek it. And
Yeah.
you're pretty much being the ambassador of Aloha, but
Oh, thank you, thank you. But got so many other more ambassadors than me.
yep.
I just
And that's what we
get
need.
one.
The more the
Yes,
merrier.
we need more.
Yep.
We need more, and that's what
Maybe
I think.
maybe this is a renaissance of Aloha.
Oh, but I love that. Actually, I
Yeah.
love how you said that. Renaissance of Aloha.
Yeah,
We need
because
that in our
it
community.
has to happen now, cause the longer it doesn't, the harder it gonna be and the more watered down it's gonna be, but
That's right. That's right. That's thank you so much for bringing that up.
yeah. Well, we've been going for an hour and I don't wanna take too much of your time. I promise I wanna have you back. I got so much more stuff I wanna
Oh,
talk to you
but you
about.
know what?
Yeah.
Again, like I said, if we can, yeah, I'd love to come back and just see, like and this
Yeah.
is okay, not getting real scripture about it, but in the Bible it says we will defeat the enemy, which is all those negative things in the world. We're going to
Yeah.
defeat the enemy by the blood of the lamb and the word of our testimony. So our
Yep.
testimonies are stories of how aloha is being applied in our life. And then, you know, if I come back next time, please share. And we can have maybe a couple other people
Yep.
share some of the things that they tried to do in their life and where they failed. And failure is just an opportunity to grow. That's
Yeah.
all failure is.
Yeah.
An opportunity to grow. And never look at it because a failure doesn't defeat you. Okay, that's the thing is a lot of times people look at failures as defeat. And I
Yeah.
said, no, it's not a defeat. You know, what we're trying to do is trying to, you know, allow you to grow.
Yeah. All right. Well,
But
I
yeah, bro,
appreciate you.
anytime.
Yeah, I appreciate you taking time out, and yeah, I'm definitely what I've learned tonight. I definitely can pass to my daughter. I'm gonna probably
Amen.
when I'm editing this, it's gonna sink in more, and I'll figure out ways I can connect with her from what you described, and
That's
I
so
think
awesome, bro. I'm
that's what
totally
learning's
stoked,
all
man.
about. And
Yeah.
I truly believe that the chance meeting you the other day at the TV station was a divine
It was
alignment. Like,
divine. Yeah.
yep, I,
Divine intervention. It
I,
happens.
yep, I
It's
definitely
not
definitely
coincidence.
believe that. I
Yeah.
100% believe
You
that
know why?
because
See, the devil will use the word coincidence. Why? Because he wants you to explain it with something else other than God intervention.
ooh, that's
That's what he
great.
wants to do. So he'll use the word, oh, that's just a coincidence. So when you don't use that fact that it was divine intervention, it takes God out of the equation. So
Oh,
when you bring God into the equation, you say, hey, bro, that was divine, bro. God wanted us to get together.
yeah,
And then what it does is it takes the devil out of the situation with the word coincidence. It takes
yeah.
him out. And yeah, that's a
Oh,
good, well, biblical way to put it, but that's
yep,
how I
that's
make
good.
it.
One more time, your website.
Okay, so our website is www.alohaconnects.net.
Right
Yeah.
on, and you can
And
find him
anything you
over
need,
there. Yep.
yes.
And get
So,
all the information. You can listen to the song. You can listen to
yeah, the song is on the website. Get the words on the website. Get a little bit about our what do you call our curriculum, the Aloha Roots curriculum on our website, and it just shows a lot of the other things we do. We do this thing called Tools for Schools, where we collect all these bags and then we donate it to the kids before they go back to school. We have this thing called Valley to Valley, where we collect Christmas presents and we give to the kids up in Pololo Valley in the
nice.
housing, and we just want to just bless them and allow them to have a great Christmas. And it's called Valley to Valley because that's what we got to do is we got to understand that we live a lot of times, not necessarily I'm going to tell everybody in despair, but we have valleys in our lives.
Yeah, yeah,
Right? And then, but from the valley to the valley is on peak.
yeah,
So let's look at what was the peak. What was the things that went good? And that's right, from valley to valley. And then what we do is Christmas is the good.
yeah.
So what happened is from the valley to the valley, we got
Get the
Christmas.
peak. Yeah.
That's the peak. And then
Wow,
during
that
that
makes
Christmas, we're giving away stuff, blessing people.
you do everything very purposeful. I notice, like everything has a purpose. Kind
But
of
it's all
smart.
God, bro. It is all God, bro. I'm a dingaling, bro. I'm an idiot. I don't know what I'm doing, bro. God just
Hey,
said, hey, go do this. And we're like, all right, let's go do it. You know, I
at
don't
least
know
you
anything else.
listening, bruh. Some people,
Yeah.
like myself included, I'm learning how to listen and
Yeah.
learning how to be
Open. Ha
understanding the
ha.
direction he wants me
Yeah.
to go.
And
And
that's why I tell people, ha ha. That's a
yeah,
biggie, bro. Because you're gonna be open to listen when you empty your cup.
yep,
And then God can
guaranteed.
pour in, but God can pour in. That's what I tell everybody. God wants to pour in your cup, but He cannot pour into a full cup. And if
Yeah,
your cup is full of you, He cannot pour in.
that makes sense. All right. Well, for us, you can find us on our website, atbpod.com, our YouTube channel, Above the Bridge Podcast, Instagram, Above the Bridge Podcast, and my Instagram is Daddy High. Thank you again for taking time out to explain what Aloha is, and
Not a
it just
problem,
makes
bro.
me feel good, bro. This whole night made me feel good. So that I
Amen.
hope our
Right on,
listeners
bro. Aloha,
uh,
Ted. Thank you so much. I
guarantee.
really appreciate this opportunity to
All
just
right,
share.
man. Yep. Well, shakas for the cameras.
All right.
Right on.
Aloha,
We're out.
Thank you.
Aloha.